Just before Christmas in 1966, I was in the middle of my junior year in college, president of my fraternity, director of my church choir, inheritor of my first automobile, and laborer at my first real job. The world lay at my feet and looked pretty good. The Vietnam War, the draft, career, and possibly marriage were still at least a year away, and that was an eternity to a 20-year-old kid. My folks had been transferred to Australia for a year. My sister lived in Detroit, and I was going to school in Rochester, New York. For a close-knit family who had always made church the center of the holidays, we were spread far and wide around the world for the first time. I suppose I should have been feeling a bit down and depressed, but truthfully, I was a kid with his first car, first taste of responsibility, some spending money. Depressed? A little, but... Are you going to be okay, Jim? Don't worry, Mom. Can you come to Detroit in time for Christmas Eve? I'll be there, sis. Party time. But it didn't work that way. All the rest of the kids in the dorm were packing up and going home. Most of them were jealous of a guy on his own. It was, after all, the height of the 60s when teenagers thought they were coming of age. Eventually, depression did settle in. Pretty soon, I was the only one left in my dorm room, and it was very, very quiet. Where does a 20-year-old guy go for a good time? Then, as now, a kid goes to the mall, bustling with busy people and lots of music. In those days, they still sandwiched a few joy to the worlds between the rocking around the Christmas trees. I sat down, ate a hamburger, and watched the crowds. It was then I spotted a harried, middle-aged woman. Really old to a 20-year-old. Remember, those were the days when he didn't trust anyone over 30. She had 3 kids hanging on to her, and they were pulling her in at least 6 directions. Both her hands were full of packages, and she was trying to push a stroller and manage everything at once. What caught my eye was her expression. She was as flustered as anyone I had ever seen. There were obviously troubles brewing, probably because she was behind schedule and buying for a small army. Nowadays, we would say she was one step away from burnout. She was trying hard not to yell at the kids, but something was soon going to explode. Then it happened. A man, obviously on his lunch hour and expected back at the office, collided with her as she looked one way at one kid and grabbed another going the opposite way. Down she went, packages flying in all directions and kids on top of her. The businessman swore and kept going. He was, after all, important and in a hurry. She just sat there and cried. Lots of tears. And no one stopped. I left my lunch and strode over, picking up her presents on the way. May I carry these for you? She looked worried. I was, after all, an unknown kid holding her presents. Who knows what I might have done? But there must have been something in my eye, something that reassured her. Thank you, she said. She really seemed to mean it. Are you parked nearby? Well, thanks, but I can manage. I'm sure you're busy. I've got until Thursday, I said with a grin. She trusted me. A present in itself, although I'm sure she never knew about the gift I received. She had given me the seeds of a flower that would bloom over the years, a blossom called serendipity. I gave one small package to each kid and said, "Let's go." I carried the rest, and she pushed the stroller. She was parked about 3 blocks away. And when we got to the car, she was a little nervous. Now, what would happen? I helped her get everything into the trunk and everyone into their respective car seats and then turned to go. "Wait a minute," she said, and held out her hand with some money in it. I must admit, I was tempted. I had a job, but always appreciated $1. But it wasn't the time. "Merry Christmas," I said. "Buy something for the kids." She wept again. She just stood there and believed in the goodness of the world once more and wept. "You've made my Christmas," she said, and got into the car to drive into whatever future God had for her. I hadn't made her Christmas. She had made mine. She showed me that it's a lot more fun to give than to receive. Only much later would I learn it's also a lot easier. But at that moment, she had let me feel a tiny bit of what God must have felt when the first Christmas gift was given. I walked back into the mall, bought another hamburger, and sat humming along with the music. Joy to the world never sounded so good.
It's funny how things work out, even though you said that's the way it would be. I don't really understand at all, and I don't expect you'll listen to me. You see, I hear about you talking, they tell me you're working, but Lord, sometimes you seem so far away. So I wrote down this song. I know it can't be wrong to tell you just how I feel today. This morning and I faced a world of darkness outside my window pane. And I never expected, I never dared hope that things would never be the same again. And then right before me, right inside me, I found the love I always thought was there. And the light came on, the love began, and it was Christmas everywhere. Lord, I thank you for Christmas, I thank you for the love of this very, very special day. And I want you to know, I need you to know, I'll play my part in this special way. From now on I'll love your work, I'll love your people, and I'll do the things that I must do to glorify Jesus with my heart and my soul, so he can give the glory to you.
Sometimes bad moments can lead to great memories.